Yeah, so this is going to be basically the first class, right? The first class in your current affairs program, right? And in total, you will have nearly 15 to 16 current affairs classes. Okay. So in total, you will have that much. And then you will have two classes on economic survey and budget also, right? So this will be the basic layout for the current affairs program here. Fine. Now, in the current affairs classes, generally the questions that have been asked till prelims last year, what has happened is sometimes we have focused on one very specific topic, but the wordings of the content that we have mentioned here, if you are not able to understand even one keyword here, you're supposed to Google it and find it out, because in prelims 2024 also the same thing happened. That is, we discussed something regarding distributed energy resources, right? That was not the main theme here. We covered the main theme from UNEP, but this was one of the subtopics of the same. Okay. So here, for those students who went in detail regarding each topic, they were able to understand the same, right? So not just, do not see current affairs class just from a topic point of view. That is, you are reading all that content. There are other basic content also that is given in the body part of it. Okay, if you're not understanding any specific keywords, just Google it up. Okay, that is what we will advise. Fine. Okay, what do I mean by it? I'll show you in one of the slides so you'll understand. Fine. Okay, so let's start with the first slide here. Yeah, so the first topic itself is very important topic. And as usual, I brought a practice question for you so that you can read the question, you can take a guess on the same, right? Yeah, so with reference to Global Biofuel Alliance, consider which of the following statements might be correct here, okay? So try solving this. Tell me, what do you think might be the answer? The first one talks about the alliance aims to promote global biofuel usage. The second one talks about European Union played an instrumental role in the formation of the alliance. And the third one talks about the signing of host country agreement grants Global Biofuel Alliance legal status in India. Which statements do you think might be correct here? Mahesh, one, fine. Akhil, one. Mulung, fine. Kanshaw, 1, 3. What about others? All. 1, 3. ठीक है. 1, 1. 1, 2, 3. ठीक है. So let's see here. One. Okay, we have different answers. 1, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1 also fine. Okay. So when we talk about Global Biofuel Alliance, let us try to understand the content first. Why is it important? Because it is an India-led initiative, right? It is an India-led initiative which is now going to have its headquarters also. That is, the Secretariat of Global Biofuel Alliance will be in India itself, right? So India has now officially signed the host country agreement with the Global Biofuel Alliance. Okay, so this is there in news just last month. Very important. You have to know this content, right? So here, yes, granting host country agreement. Yes, so granting it gives them the legal status, and they can function and they can function in accordance with the laws and rules of India, right? Now, when you talk about Global Biofuel Alliance, first and the foremost thing, when was it launched? Any idea? Global Biofuel Alliance. It's an India-led initiative. Yes, it was launched. No, launched at. We are talking about launched in which summit, which exactly, Mandeep, right? We are talking about G20. Okay. So it was launched last year in G20. Okay. And you should know the founding members also. Okay, so already we clearly know whenever India-led initiative question has been asked, has taken an initiative, global initiative, that year that question has been asked. Okay, in 1 or 2 years it has been asked. Okay, so a case in point is ISA, right? When India took that initiative, it was asked, right? So here also, when you talk about Global Biofuel Alliance, the founding members you should know, that is, it is Argentina, Bangladesh, Brazil, Italy, Mauritius, Singapore, UAE, and USA. Okay, so what is the intent of this alliance? The intent of this alliance is to basically ensure that the necessary standards and codes that are there, that must be there for biofuels, it is adopted and implemented in a global scale. Okay, so it facilitates development, adoption, and implementation of internationally recognized standards and codes with respect to biofuels. Fine. So it also addresses the challenges with respect to value chain. Okay. So any feedstock availability is not there, biomass supply is not there. So here these areas are also focused upon. Fine. So please go through this aspect of it. Global Biofuel Alliance launched that. Founding members, who are they? What is the primary purpose here? Right. Now, based on the content that you now know, what would be the answer here? Global Biofuel Alliance. Here it would be 1 and 3. Yes. Okay. So anyways, instrumental role, I think Vikas sir might have already discussed with you, right? When we talk about members, that is plain statement or a non-plain statement. Any specific form of a member we talk about, it is plain, exactly. If we talk about founding members, it becomes non-plain. Okay, so here instrumental role, founding members, yes, keep that in mind. Chalo. If this is clear to you, come to the next topic. Yeah, the next one is regarding Global Bioenergy Partnership. Okay. So here we are focusing specifically on a very particular website. So in current affairs, what I do is basically I go through multiple websites, basically from those topics which have been repeatedly asked, right? For example, here FAO website is there. Okay, UNEP website is there. Okay, WHO website is there. So that is my job. When I take current affairs, I basically try to cover the important initiatives taken by these organizations, because these initiatives are specifically asked from your prelim standpoint. Okay, so today, because agriculture was the theme for the first week, I have gone extensively through the FAO website. Okay, so we are trying to cover that content here, right? So here again, this partnership that we are talking about, Global Bioenergy Partnership, it is again an initiative of basically FAO. Okay, it's an FAO-led initiative, and it is voluntary in nature, where India has an observer status. Okay, so here again, the intent is promote sustainable biomass and bioenergy development, especially for commercial activities. Okay, so here it is all inclusive. It is not just governmental, it is public, private, civil society also. Okay, so this partnership, two, three important points you have to keep in mind. Initiative of FAO, it is voluntary initiative. The third one is public, private partnership can be there. Okay, civil society can also participate. And intent is for sustainable bioenergy development, especially for commercial activities. Okay, so these three, 4 points, keep this in mind. Very specific point which I got from the FAO website. Fine. Similarly, there is one more index which is very unique. This one also you should know, that is Integrated Biosecurity Index and Assessment Tool. Okay, so here all this also got from FAO website only, and yes, so this index is basically developed by Food and Agriculture Organization, and you have to focus on the purpose of the same. Okay, this index or this tool, what is it trying to focus upon? Okay, so it is basically trying to focus on ensuring that countries have a necessary they have enough adaptation capabilities to national biosecurity. Okay, that is, be it related to plant diseases or diseases arising from animals, they should have enough mechanisms in place so as to ensure their health is not compromised. Okay, so that is the very specific purpose of integrated biosecurity index and assessment tool. Okay, so here, see here, it does not intend to replace existing tools. So already there are many tools globally which are trying to ensure that national biosecurity is not compromised. Okay, so now understand this aspect. There are different tools that we have mentioned here. Okay, that is, for example, food safety control assessment tool. Okay, now generally what happens is students only focus on this aspect of it, and uh, and they go in the exam and they are not able to find the content there, right? But what we have observed is sometimes the content that is mentioned here also. Okay, if you're not able to understand, please Google it up. Okay, extra content that is there. The only thing is we did not find it important. That is why we did not put it in here. Okay, but at the same time, sometimes it do happen. This has happened for consecutively two current affairs program now. Okay, one question has been asked from the body part of it. So that is why I'm telling you beforehand. Okay. For example, food safety control assessment tool. This one, it's an initiative of FAO and WHO. Okay, regarding ensuring enough food safety standards are being met on a global scale. Okay, so here from our priority areas also, important organization, a tool which deals with food safety. So that becomes important. Okay, so please cover these also. That is your homework for you. Find out, there are three major tools that have been mentioned. What is the initiative, who led the initiative, and what is the purpose. That these two priorities you should clearly know. I hope this is clear. Okay, so please cover that aspect. Chalo. If this is clear to you, now we jump to the next important keyword that I found, something known as bioprospecting. Okay, so you can take a guess here. Which of the following statements accurately describes bioprospecting? Which of the following statement, okay, accurately describes bioprospecting? Why we are focusing on this? Again, anything bio becomes important. Okay, so you have to okay. Okay, so very good here. That is, the answer is A itself. Okay, so here we are talking, when we talk about bioprospecting, it is in that context itself. Fine. Okay, I'll tell you why, where I found this word also I'll mention, okay, in the coming slides. Okay, so here when we talk about bioprospecting, it is exploring living organisms and trying to identify their commercial value. Okay, their genetic and biochemical properties. Now, come to the next one. Yes, next. Now, this one is important actually. That is one country, one priority product. Okay. Now, this one again, if FAO initiative, and here, as the name suggests, right, it is you're focusing primarily on one specific agricultural product here. Okay, so every country will designate one priority product which it wants to develop, for which its value chain it wants to develop, and for which the agriculture product it wants to export. Okay, so for that, this is the FAO flagship initiative. Okay, so here the aim is basically to transform agri-food systems by supporting countries promoting their special agricultural product. Okay, so here they will create all the forward and backward linkages. They will, FAO will work with the specific country, national country, and then they will also facilitate entry into new markets globally and regionally. Okay. Now here, this one is important. That is, when we talk about this, what is India's special agricultural product? What do you think? What might be, which agricultural crop might be there, which India wants to prioritize for exports? You can take a guess. No issues. Rice, millet or rice. Take it. Tea or rice. Tea already we are selling, right? An exponential rate. Here, basically, we prioritize those product which has an export potential, but it has not been developed yet. Okay, that is the priority here. Okay, so yes, you are right. It is millets. Okay, so here the India special agricultural product under this is millets. Now this is very important. Please do go through this. Okay, this is something which even FAO very rarely does schemes in its Twitter feed. It puts directly into the in its news broadcast in Twitter feed, right? So if it is doing the same, it is trying to promote one very specific scheme. You have to focus on the same. Okay, so that is why this scheme is important. Please go through it. Fine. Now, the next one is regarding biostimulants. Now, we have already discussed this in the first class, right? In the agriculture topic, but the current affairs aspect of it I have not covered. So that is the reason. Okay, we are covering this aspect. Okay. So now one of the students also asked one important point after the test. That is, when you talk about biostimulants, does it increase nutrient capacity in the soil? When we talk about biostimulants, when we put, okay, it, that clarity has to be there. It does not. Okay. The only thing it increases the nutrient uptake that plant can have. Okay. It does not add anything to the soil. Okay. So please understand the differences, because after the test also one of the student asked me the same, right? So yes, when you talk about biostimulant, why did I cover in the class, right? So here Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, they have issued new specifications on biostimulants in the agriculture sector, right? Under the Essential Commodities Act. And here it is something known as Central Biostimulants Committee. Now, this one is important. Please go through this aspect. Okay. It is the one which takes all the necessary decisions regarding biostimulants. Okay. So whether it is of natural origin or other, you have to take the permission here, right? So now regarding categories, we have already discussed in the previous class, but that specificity should be there. That is biostimulant versus fertilizer. Okay. So here biostimulants, they stimulate the plant's innate ability to absorb nutrient, whereas fertilizer directly supply plants with essential nutrient. Both are different. Understand the same. Okay. Biostimulants are usually non-nutritive. Okay. They do not have the specific nutrient. Okay. So that is the reason I have covered this. Fine. Chalo. If this is clear to you, okay. Now this one is important actually. An important scheme, umbrella scheme, that is Pradhan Mantri Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana, right? So today, most of our topics are related to agriculture because that was the theme for the first week, right? So yes. So tell me, which of the following schemes do you think is our part of Pradhan Mantri Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana? 2, 3, 4, okay. 4, okay. 1, 3, 4. 1 and 2. 1, 3, 4. All. ठीक है. What about others? 1, 3, 4. All. All. Okay, so let's see here. Mahesh, fine. Okay. Okay, so this one is actually very important. Okay, you should know this specifically. Okay, बहुत important है agriculture scheme. Anyways, it is important. But if it is in news and if it is talking about specifically rationalization of all agricultural schemes into two major umbrellas, if it is bringing every scheme of government, especially centrally sponsored schemes under two major ambits here, so then you should definitely know, right? So here you can see the Union Cabinet approved the proposal of Department of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare for rationalization of all centrally sponsored schemes under two specific schemes. That is Pradhan Mantri Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana and Krishi Unnati Yojana. Okay. Krishi Unnati Yojana. So here, when you talk about Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana, you are talking about promoting sustainable agriculture. So all the schemes which deal with the sustainable agriculture component, we are putting it under Krishi Vikas Yojana. Whereas under Krishi Unnati Yojana, we are focusing on those agricultural schemes which address specifically the food security and the agricultural self-sufficiency. Okay, so this difference you should clearly know. This categorization you should specifically know. Okay, this is very important. Fine. Now, in both the schemes, you are trying to leverage technology so as to uh, improve your agriculture, right? Now, these schemes are implemented through the state governments here. Now, why is there rationalization being done for all agriculture schemes, right? So as to ensure convergence and at the same time, so as to ensure the limited funds that you have, they can be directly prioritized for climate resilient agriculture. Okay. In today's time, the government has now realized that climate resilience is one of the major priorities that it has to focus on, and each state has a different priority. Okay. So they have categorized these schemes so that now the state governments can draw their own comprehensive strategic plans here depending upon their own demands, depending upon their own agriculture sector, they will drop their own strategic plan and allocate the funds accordingly. Okay, so here state governments will be able to draw a comprehensive strategic plan suiting their requirements for agriculture sector. And annual action plan of the states. Now, this is important. Annual action plan of the states can be approved in one go rather than individual scheme wise schemes. Okay, so earlier what used to happen for one state itself, if there are 10 sub schemes, for each of them you need to have approval from the center. But now what they have done is there is one annual action plan. If this gets approved, so all the funds can be then allocated to the sub schemes part of it. Okay. So this is very important. You should know it, and you should specifically know what comprises this mission. That is, when you talk about Pradhan Mantri Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana, which all schemes come under it. Okay, so here two different schemes are there for Krishi Unnati Yojana. That one has nearly 12 sub schemes. Okay, here also some sub schemes are there. At least you should know one properly so that you can exclude the other one. Okay, so here soil health management. Okay, so that comes under Krishi Vikas Yojana, rainfed area development, agroforestry, Paramparagath Krishi Vikas Yojana, agriculture mechanization, per drop more crop, crop diversification, detailed project report, and accelerated front. All of them come under Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana. Okay, so you should know this very clearly. At least one of the schemes you should know what are the sub schemes under it. Fine. So now, what about this question? Can the state government reallocate fund from one component to other components or other sub schemes here under this scheme, Yojana? Can they reallocate their funds? What do you think? They can definitely do. Okay, so that is the exact purpose for rationalization. Okay, so here also we have discussed the same aspect. Okay, so please understand this. Now, based on it, tell me, what do you think is the answer here? Which of the following scheme is our part of Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana? 1 and 3. Exactly. Okay. Digital agriculture comes under the other Yojana. Okay, so know that aspect. National Food Security Mission again comes under there. Okay, so know these two aspects. Fine. Chalo. If this is clear, now we jump to the next important topic, that is synthetic biology. Okay, another term which is there in news. So read the question. Tell me which statements do you think might be correct here. Okay. Synthetic biology. Only to only. Yes, you're correct. So the answer is two only, right? So here, why are we focusing this on this topic specifically? Because recently you had the UN Biodiversity Conference, okay? Biodiversity Conference, right? So just last week you had the UN Biodiversity Conference, and in which one of the major outcomes was regarding synthetic biology. Okay. So here it was majorly considered from an application point of view, and you also should consider the risk associated with the same. Okay. It is in this light that we have also discussed another term, that is bioprospecting, right? So that also comes from here, right? So now when we talk about synthetic biology, what does it mean? We are basically using genetic engineering to redesign organisms, especially so as to solve our problems related to agriculture, manufacturing, or medicine. Okay. Now, what is important for you is the application part of it, which has been elaborately given here. Okay. So whenever an application-based question is asked from synthetic biology, what approach should you have? A narrow-based approach or a broad approach? If you're talking about the application. Okay. So when you're talking about the application, yes, we are talking about broad. Fine. So here you can see it has a broader application in healthcare, biofuels, agriculture, meat alternatives, so different aspects are there. Space also is there. Okay, so please go through this aspect. Fine. Now there is another. So first term was synthetic biology. The second important outcome was something related or something known as Cali Fund. Okay. Now here, when you talk about this fund, specifically, you should focus on the purpose part of it, the purpose of this fund, right? So it has a very unique purpose. Yes. So when we talk about UN Biodiversity Conference, we are basically talking about CBD. So when we talk about CBD, what are we have three principles, right? What is the third principle? What is the third principle there? We have one is sustainable biodiversity development, one is biodiversity conservation, second is sustainable biodiversity, third is, yes, fair and equitable share, right? But now what the countries have now realized is, these companies, what they are doing is they are having digital information of the same. Okay. For example, if some research has happened by some agency, and whatever is the data out of it, they are directly collecting that data and producing the same. Okay, producing their own commercial products. And in the process, what is happening is the research is going, but at the same time, you are not equitably sharing it with the traditional spaces or the traditional countries. right? So in response for that, you have something known as Cali fund. Okay, so here it is not just if you're just sharing the product, but even if there is some digital data that you're using of the genetic resources from traditional plant or animals, that information if you're using in product, then also you have to put money under the Cali fund here. Okay, so it is a global fund for fair benefit sharing from the use of digital sequence information on genetic resources. So basically what is happening here is large companies, even if they are benefiting commercially from digital sequence information, they have to contribute to the Cali fund. Okay, and in return, this fund will basically support developing countries and especially indigenous people for preservation. Right, so focus on this aspect, a very unique purpose. Again, one of the major outcomes of UN Biodiversity Conference. Okay, so here you can see developing countries, they will benefit from a large part of this fund and it would help them in the implementation of this global biodiversity framework, right? Now, when you discuss global biodiversity framework, I think you already know the targets. Okay, last year, important content, but still I brought it again so that at least the targets part of it, you should be very clear. Okay, so just go through this. This is last year's current affairs, but still you should know what are the key targets that were proposed under the global biodiversity framework, right? So here we have 30%, restoring 30% degraded ecosystems, conserving 30% of terrestrial, inland and coastal ecosystems, right? We are also talking about reducing risk from pesticides by at least 50% by 2030. Okay, so enough numerical component is here so that the UPSC or the examiner can twist such facts. Okay, so please go through this aspect also. Fine. So here also key targets are there. Acha, when was it adopted? When you talk about global biodiversity framework, when was it adopted? Or it was adopted at which conference are we talking about? COP? Exactly. Okay, so 15. Last year it was adopted. So just go through this aspect also. Fine. Now, apart from this, the outcome budget of outcome document of UN Biodiversity Conference also had the mentioning of these two. Okay. Uh, Same as natural. No, that is different. Okay. That is different, Kansha. Okay. That is different. This is another summit, totally different. Okay. No, targets may be similar, but the initiatives are different. Fine. Yes. So the outcome document also had mentioning of these two funds. Okay, that is Global Biodiversity Framework Fund. And why we are covering this specifically? Because established in less than a year by Global Environment Facility. So already a UPSC question, already asked, and one which is managing this fund. Okay, so it is important. Okay, and basically the intent is to finance high impact project in developing regions. Okay, so please go through this fund. And here also the same, that is coming biodiversity framework. Here also the intent is developing countries. Okay, now it's a homework for you. You have to find out launched at which one. Okay, one is COP. They have been launched at consecutive years. So please go through this aspect, find it out. Fine. Chalo. If this is clear to you, now we go to the second topic, that is yes. Now this is already a UPSC question. If you remember, this is already a UPSC question regarding Hyderabad being recognized as tree city of the world, right? Along the same lines, I've created another question for you. You tell me which statement is correct if the statement 2 is a correct explanation of statement 1. You know the options, right? Both statements are correct. Statement 2 is the correct explanation of statement 1. Both statements are correct, but statement 2 is not the correct explanation of statement 1, right? So that is option A, option B. Then one is wrong, one is correct, like that. So tell me, which statements do you think might be correct? We are talking about an Indian city which is there to win UN Shanghai Global Award for Sustainable Development. Hmm. Two is correct. Okay. Very good. Statement 1 wrong. Okay. Okay. Very good. So here again we have mentioned the keyword first. Whenever it is news, it is there in your current affairs, you have to prepare it separately. Okay, so that becomes very, very important topic from your prelim standpoint, right? So here, what is the news? Yes, so the first Indian city that has been recognized or that has won the UN Shanghai Global Award for Sustainable Development, that is Trivandrum in Kerala, right? So it has been given this recognition by UN Habitat and Shanghai Municipality. Okay, so here again, the second statement could also be this recognition given by multiple organizations can be given. In that case, what would happen to that statement? If multiple organizations are there in a statement, it becomes, yes, wrong. Okay, great. Okay, so here we two facts you have to know. The first Indian city recognized is Trivandrum, and that recognition has been given by UN Habitat and Shanghai Municipality. Fine. So if this is clear to you, okay, now this one is important. Okay, now why this is important? So basically, Bihar gets its first dry port at Beta, right? That is the news component of it. But what you should prepare separately after the classes, important ports and their specific recognition. Okay. So basically, how will you expect such a question? Consider the following pairs, 1, 2, 3. How many of the pairs are correctly matched? Only one, only two, all three, none of the above, right? So for that, one of the fact would be this. Okay, so please cover this aspect. The same thing, same exercise we did. If any student is old enough, they will know. 2 years back, we covered something known as solar. For solar, first solar airport, we covered that aspect. Okay, when it was in news and it was asked next year. Okay, so here also the same way, focus on the port component of it. Okay, so here Bihar gets its first dry port at Bihata. Okay, so what is the purpose of the dry port? It is basically to ensure there is easy or seamless movement of cargo, especially in airports or in ports. Okay, so the purpose here is it handles all the custom clearances before itself, thereby reducing congestion at seaports or airports. Okay, so it acts as a bridge between sea, airports, and inland region. It is located in the inland, right? Now the question here is, which state has the highest number of dry ports? What do you think here? You can take any guess. Highest number of dry ports. Now this topic is very important because again, India is trying to now uh, institute more than 20 dry ports. Okay, so it is continuously going on. It's there in PIB also. Search it out. Simply put dry ports and PIB you will get. Okay, so India is trying to put this on or promote it on a very large scale. Okay, so please go through this. MP, Maharashtra. Okay, Actually, you will be surprised to know it is actually Tamil Nadu. Okay, it's Tamil Nadu and Haryana, both of them. Okay, so currently as the numbers stand, it is actually Tamil Nadu and Haryana. So just know that fact also. Fine. Sure. What is the task? The task is to find out dry port. Okay, just find out dry ports and search for PIB articles. Okay, you'll get enough articles there. And the second one is the initial major ports that were there, right? And their recognition that they got. Okay, when we talk about Mumbai port, right, there is very specific recognition that it has. Similarly, when we talk about Kochi port, it has a very specific recognition. You have to search in their about us page. You'll find that word also. I'll put it in the test so you'll understand. But for exercise point of view, do that also. Okay, in a coming test, I'll directly give ports and I'll give you the what is their recognition part of it. This is clear? Akhil, I hope this is clear. Yes, chalo. Okay, so now come to the next one. The next topic is classical languages here. Okay, so again in news, important, tangible, intangible heritage. Last year also we have discussed this in detail. Last year we focused specifically on UNESCO. We focused multiple times on UNESCO. We mentioned multiple times, and I also showed you the trend also. That is in geoscientist paper also the same question was asked. In one more CAPF also the same question was being repeatedly asked. So we asked you to focus specifically on UNESCO. If you remember, do you remember last year we covered Hoysala, we covered matlab, different heritages we covered, right? If any last year student is there. Yes. Okay, so along the same lines, focus on the classical languages also. Okay. Now here, when you talk about classical languages, you are not just focusing on the new five. Okay. So here, basically, this has been extended. This classical language tag has been extended to Marathi, Pali, Prakrit, Assamese, and Bengali. Okay. So these five newly added, but you should also know the years also in which they were added, right? This is also very important, specifically considering the last two times the question has been asked is which of the following has been given as a classical language tag in 2024, in 2023. Okay, so that tag also you should know specifically when it was given. Okay, so when we talk about 2024, it is five, that is Marathi, Pali, Prakrit, Assamese, and Bengali. Okay, the first one to receive this classical language tag was Tamil, followed by Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, and Odia. Okay, so please know which are the classical languages. Please know the year in which they were given those tags. Okay, that order you should know. Okay, that is it for the current affairs. Fine. Chalo, if this is clear to you, come to the next topic. Yeah, another important content that you might have seen in news. That is, what is supersonic missile assisted release of torpedo system? Smart system, sometimes seen in news. What about others? You might have seen the same option somewhere, that is hard also you might have seen, right? Already a UPSC question that has been asked. Two different answers we are getting. Okay. Okay. So here, supersonic missile assisted release of torpedo system. This is basically an India's own indigenous anti-submarine missile. Okay. So the options are the same as the ones that were there in third also, right? So why this is important? Because yes, currently we are trying to see the export potential of the same system. Okay, so many Southeast Asian countries, they have shown interest in this system specifically. Okay, because it is highly effective in dealing with submarine during warfare, right? So it is an effective anti-submarine warfare capabilities it has. So developed by DRDO, and it is a canister-based missile system. Okay, so please go through this aspect, just cover it, right? Okay, the next one is eco mark rules here. Okay, so here when we talk about eco mark rules, so here government has basically notified certain new rules. That is, when can you label certain products as green products? Okay, so that specification it has given, uh, and so that you have to know, right? So here this, when we talk about eco mark scheme, it is launched in 1991. Okay, and it is a voluntary scheme which tries to promote labeling of household and consumer products. Okay, but now this ecomark scheme is being implemented by CPCB in partnership with BIS. Okay, Bureau of Indian Standards. So now what the government has said is, if you want to label your product as ecomark, you need to have certification from BIS. Okay, so this is the new labeling rule for green product. Okay, so categories, so certain criterias also it has set, that is for the making of the product, if you are able to reduce the pollution, or if some recyclable materials are being used for your product, then based on those categories, you need certification from BIS. Once that is done, then you can mark your product as ecomark. Okay, so here under the rules, there is now detailed criteria which has been given for manufacturers for what they have to follow for grant of ecomark. Okay, so the ecomark scheme, the things you need to know: 1991, launched in 1991. It's a voluntary scheme implemented by CPCB and in partnership with BIS. Okay, so here the currently the government has spelled out detailed criteria for 17 categories of products. Okay, and these products need certification from BIS. So on an annual basis, they need certification. They need permission from BIS. And at the same time, if at any point of time the government realizes that the information that has been given to them is falsified, they can reject the product also. Okay, so then it cannot be labeled as ecomark then. Okay, so it's an annual aspect that you have to focus on. Okay, so what is the criteria for grant of an ecomark? Yes, it should reduce pollution, it should be recyclable, and it should reduce the use of non-renewable resources and reduce the use of any material which will have some adverse impact on the environment. So if any of these uh, criterias are met, then that product can be considered for ecomark. Okay. Now, what is important from your prelim standpoint is which all products can be given are eligible for grant or ecomark. Okay, so here you have cosmetics, soap and detergents, food items, electronic goods, as well as textiles. Okay, so basically five major categories. Know them. Okay, so cosmetic based, anyways, it is a repeated theme which is asked in UPSC. So know the same. Fine. Chalo. So this is an important topic, ecomark rules 2024. Please go through this. Fine. Chalo. If this is clear to you, now we come to technology. Okay, current affairs from technology, that is. So you might have seen in previous UPSC questions, that is Web 3.2, the comparison between Bluetooth and Wi-Fi devices. Already these questions have been asked in your UPSC, right? So along the same lines, I've created a question for you. What is the difference between Bluetooth 6.0 and earlier Bluetooth versions, right? So already this question has been asked, Bluetooth. And currently in the world, we have a new version of Bluetooth now. Okay. So just read the statements. Tell me which one would you mark if this is asked in your prelims. Which statement will you mark as correct? One and three. One only. Two. Okay. One and three. One. Okay. We are getting different answers. Okay. And then three. Okay. Uh, Tell me, just think of it from a uh, developer point of view. Okay. A person who is trying to develop a new technology, and in a world where we already know the power that we are consuming is too high, right? So what would be his natural tendency to to create a product which is energy efficient or more consuming, right? No, it has to be efficient, right? Energy efficient, exactly. Okay. Now, the second aspect of it, again, when you talk from a technological point of view, if you have some pre-existing technology already, the new technology that comes, it basically tries to be a one up, right? It tries to create something on top of that, right? It does not try to eliminate the same. So what the second statement says is it lacks the ability to connect multiple devices simultaneously, right? So now again, something very extreme which is given, right? So now what would your approach be? Again, you have to take it with a pinch of salt, right? The statement also, it lacks the ability. Okay. Which one has a positive tone, Akhil? नहीं नहीं फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट तो ठीक है आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट द सेकंड एंड थर्ड स्टेटमेंट ओके द फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट इज फाइन ओके ठीक है so here we have a negative connotation here also we have something negative here okay so you have to doubt such statements fine okay so let us jump into the topic here actually the answer is 1 okay so when we talk about Bluetooth 6.0 why we are focusing on it because now it has been developed it is there in the market it's a new technology important from your prelim standpoint right so here when we talk about Bluetooth 6.0 here the major feature that it has is it is able to now accurately determine the presence the distance and the direction of other Bluetooth 6.0 devices without compromising security. Okay, so what will be the benefit of the same? So for example, let's say we are talking about home automation solutions, right? That is your garage is here. It's already Bluetooth enabled. Your car is coming. So 100 meters along the way, it will recognize ki yes, this is your vehicle that is coming. So it will start opening up, right? So, and it will not compromise on the security part of it. Okay. So here it determines the presence as well as the distance also and based on it it can be used in various purposes okay so it can easily identify and track a linked device it enables improved home automation solutions one is as you have mentioned right auto garage or door can be unlocked okay now it is much more efficient because the power consumption is very low and it also filters certain data here. Okay, so it does not take up all the data here. It is selectively scanning secondary devices, and that also improves efficiency here, right? So here you can see it monitors and filters out redundant data to increase efficiency. Okay, and the next important aspect that you have to know from prelim standpoint, that is it allows large data to be transferred in smaller packets. Okay, so at a greater speed, large data can be transferred here. right? So here it reduces power consumption, thereby extending the battery life for Bluetooth 6.0 devices. Okay, so the generic facts of it you should definitely know. So from all aspects of it, the application part of it, Bluetooth 6.0 is much better than the previous versions. So please know the content. Fine. So here, which one would be the correct statement here? Here, the first statement would be correct. Fine. Chalo. This is clear. Acha. Another environment guidelines that government has brought forth, that is greenwashing. Already we have, it's a UPSC question that's already there in your PYQs, right? Now, what government has done is this government has released new guidelines, making it mandatory for the companies to substantiate their claims with scientific evidence. That is, if they are making any claim, that is, it is environment friendly or it is green, their products are green or their products are renewable or they are saying it is recyclable. All these claims they have to substantiate and through scientific evidence. Okay. And this is also liable for third party authentication. Okay, so that is what the guidelines say. So just because the manufacturers now cannot just claim that their products is environment friendly. Okay, they cannot do the same. Okay, so these guidelines they were issued by Central Consumer Protection Authority. Okay, so what is greenwashing? You already know, it's a PYQ question, right? So what are the specific environment claims that have to be monitored? So if you're claiming it's compostable, degradable, free of something, sustainability is there, non-toxic, 100% natural, recyclable, refillable, renewable, plastics free, plastic positive, climate positive, net zero, or any other similar claims are made by a product, by a manufacturer, they have to support with credible certification. Okay, they also have to provide the methodology that is involved and the data to support such claims. Okay, and the certificates from statutory or independent third party certifications should also be done. Okay, so these are certain greenwashing guidelines that have been mentioned by the government. Okay, so please go through it. Mandatory keyword is there. That is the reason I have covered this. It can be asked in one of the statement. Okay, so consider the following statements. First, second, the manufacturers of these products, they have to mandatorily do something, right? So that statement can be there. So that is the reason we are covering this. Fine. Okay. Now we come to another very important issue that is going on currently, that is regarding mining. Okay, so we have covered different themes here. We have covered science, now Bluetooth we have covered environment based, we have covered agriculture, we have covered the defense aspect of it, we have covered cities, okay, important rewards that have been given. Okay, we have also covered important summit. One important summit we have covered. When this COP will be done, UNFCCC COP will be done, we'll cover that also in the current affairs class, right? So now we are going back to mining issue. Okay, so here also, how should you prepare the same? Coal field, okay, and finally place. Okay, either place. Now the same thing can UPSC can also ask it in this format. That is the reason for it being in news. Okay, because till date UPSC has only focused on conflict areas and the reason for them being in news. But the same thing can also happen for different these issues also, right? Coal fields also can happen. Okay, so please, for both ways, you should be prepared, right? So what is the issue all about? So here we are basically talking about leveling up nearly 2000 square kilometers of forest land. Okay, so this is something which is being uh, opposed by tribals as well as locals, and they're opposing it to the state government, right? So here you have a mining issue. They are considered as the lungs of Chhattisgarh. Know the place. Okay, so it was the largest unfragmented forest in central India. Okay. And it also has certain Schedule 1 species which are there under Wildlife Protection Act. Okay. So this place is important. Why it is in news? Okay. So because of the cutting of trees. So that aspect is there. Please cover the same. Fine. Chalo. If this is clear, now we go to another science-based question. So here this is already a UPSC question. Yes. Asked in your news when it happened for the first time, right? So scientists observe the merger of giant black holes. What is the significance of this observation? Okay, so already asked in your UPSC. So along the same line, I've created another question for you. Recently, scientists discovered a black hole triple system in space for the first time. Okay, so what might be significance of this discovery? You can take a guess. C, D, A, B, D, A, C. Okay, different. D. Okay, chalo. Let us see here. This one is important from your prelim standpoint. Yeah, so here for the first time, okay, for the first time, scientists have discovered a rare black hole triple system. Okay, so first time keyword is there for us. You have to prepare. Okay, now what is the reason for what is the significance of this discovery, right? So the discovery basically questions the conventional understanding of black hole formation. Okay, so generally when we talk about black hole formation, we are talking about basically a sun which is old enough and it is on its own mass, it is exploding, right? But here, when we see a black hole triple system, what is happening? A black hole is here, it is subsuming another star. But at the same time, there is another star which is revolving, which is positioned at a very far distance and it is revolving around the same. Okay, so what the scientists have now thought of is that is their conventional understanding of black hole may be not sufficient. Okay, so what they are thinking is this is basically a formation of direct collapse or a failed supernova where the star is directly collapsing into the black hole without an explosive event. So till now, black hole creation events, we were thinking about it from a perspective that immense energy dissipation happens across the universe, but it may not always be the case. Okay, so that is the reason this discovery is of significance. Okay, so which one would be the correct answer here? The answer would be B. It's a failed supernova process. Okay. So the significance aspect of it, please know, they are important. Fine. Chalo. Now this one, this one actually is important not just from your current affairs point of view, but you can actually use it in your mains answer, specifically essay. Okay. Whenever in essay, for example, woman is asked or their contribution is asked, feel free to use her. That is Hansa Mehta. Okay. So you can use her in anecdote also. Okay. So students generally ask, sir, what do we use as anecdote in essays and all? So you can use the reason for gender, the concept of gender, why it is needed in a in world today, right? So the news aspect of it is yes, UNGA president is there, paid tribute to Indian reformer Hansa Mehta, right? Now, what is her contribution? So her contribution is she was an Indian delegate to the UN Commission on Human Rights, and she was the one who ensured that it was a gender sensitive language in Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Okay, especially her contribution goes to Article 1 of Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Okay, where she was the one who replaced the phrase all men are born equal and free and equal with all human beings are born free and equal. Okay, so that is a very significant achievement which she has done. That too in, we are talking about 1940s. Okay, so the contribution of women specifically very important. You can use it. Okay, even from prelims point of view or more from a mains point of view, this would be important. Fine. Okay, the next one is another index that uh, I found. So here, why we are focusing on this specific index is I found the purpose of it very unique. Okay, the purpose of this index. So here, this index is released by an institution, that is Central Research Institute for Dryland Agriculture. Okay, it is the one which is trying to create something known as an early warning system and this index for the first of its kind in the world. Okay, now this one I've covered from down to earth actually. Okay, covered from down to earth. Fine. So here, this index, how is it different from any other index? So basically, as the name suggests, it is trying to anticipate future farmer distresses that are going to happen. Okay, this index basically, what it does is it goes through the local newspapers, it observes the common incidents that are happening. Okay, for example, farmer suicides are happening, and if there is a pattern to it, at a very specific time if it is happening, then what it does that it for the next year, right, it will anticipate that in this time period there will be distress, and it will give out these pre-warning signs to the local governments as well as state governments so that they can take timely preventive action. Okay, so that is a very unique purpose. You should know the same, right? So the index is trying to anticipate agricultural distress. Okay, and it is trying to pre-warn different stakeholders, including center, state, local, for future occurrence of farmer distress, so that they can take preventive measures. Okay, so I'll give you a case in point. For example, what happens? Let's say there is some weather anomaly. Okay, so if the farmer has taken a crop insurance, generally what happens? The field, the crops are entirely destroyed, and then the farmer has to wait. The farmer has to wait for getting the crop insurance. Okay, in this meantime, the interest period will be there. He might have taken interest from some money lender. So that creates distress. Right. Now, what this index will do is, let's say it understands that yes, cyclones are coming, let's say. So it will by default predict that, okay, the farmer will be in distress and it will try to directly put DBT to the farmer's account directly. Okay, so it is trying to anticipate this distress and try to resolve the same. So that is this index, very unique initiative. So please cover this, right? So the index will have values from 0 to 1. If it is between 0 to zero point 0.5, that means low distress is there. 0.5 to 0.7, that means moderate. And above 0.7, if this index is there, that means severe distress is there. Okay, so please cover this aspect. Fine. Chalo. Come to the next one. The next one here is regarding RNA interference. Now, this is already a UPSC question, right? So you might have seen this question already. You might have solved it. So along the same lines, I have created another question for you, right? That is micro RNA technology has gained importance in recent years. Okay. So what might be the reason? Okay. So you can take time. You can read the statements. Tell me which statements do you think might be correct here? Micro RNA technology. 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 4. 1, 2, 4, 2, 3, 4. ठीक है. Okay, so we'll see here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Uh, See, what is the likelihood of all being an answer here? UPSC examiner creating the 4 options so as to give all of them correct. मतलब वो बहुत कम रहेगा उसका chance जो है. ठीक है, in the exam hall also the possibility is very less when it is that detailed. Okay, for example, if I am saying ki 1, 2, 3, what is the applications of synthetic biology, right? Biosensor, bio something. That is just one words. Then it is fine. You are going for all. Okay. But if I'm talking about an application part of it and I'm writing sentences here, okay, so here all का possibility बहुत कम है, मतलब almost nil है. ठीक है, so please understand that aspect, how and when to use all. ठीक है, चलो, so let's see here. First, why are we focusing on microRNA? Okay, so RNA based questions important. Even mRNA vaccine is there, has been asked. You have to cover, right? You have covered, right? So here, why are we covering microRNA? Because this year, the Nobel Prize for Medicine was given to scientists who discovered microRNA. Okay, so here, that is the reason you have to cover the same. Right. So what is microRNA? Basically, they are short RNA molecules and they are the ones who are responsible for regulating the gene expression. Okay. So they control gene activity. They bind themselves to mRNA. Okay. And they block them from producing their proteins. Okay. So microRNA are the ones which are responsible for controlling the timing and level of gene expression, which is needed for cell development and differentiation. Okay, so they play a very vital role, especially when we talk about cell growth, or even when we talk about dealing with cancerous cells. Okay, or when we talk about immune response or for metabolism, right? So it has a very wider application, microRNA, responsible for cell growth, program cell death, immune response, and metabolism. Okay, so whenever your microRNA activity is abnormal, this is the reason why it can lead to cancer, cardiovascular diseases, or neurological disorders. Okay, so currently microRNA, they are being studied for therapeutic targets, especially their role in gene regulation. Okay, so here hundreds of microRNAs are there. They have been identified in humans and they are the ones which are responsible, right? So here, based on what you know now, tell me which statements would be correct here. It is involved in regulating gene expression by blocking proteins. This one would be, first statement would be what? It regulates gene expression. It is right. Very good. Okay. Yeah, it can be used in developing treatments for diseases like cancer and cardiovascular diseases. This would be again right. Okay. It is used in hormone replacement therapy. This would be, you know, okay. Where did I get this option from? Exactly from the previous one, PYQ, right? It can be used to develop hormone replacement therapy. Okay. Exactly. It has application in understanding and controlling cell development and differentiation. That is exactly the purpose of mRNA. Okay. So please go through this aspect also. Important. You have to cover the same. Fine. Chalo, if this is clear. All right. So with that, I end the class for today. Okay. So we have already discussed wider topics The only reason the first 10-15 slides were from agriculture because the theme for the previous week was agriculture. Okay. So similarly, when we cover other themes, I'll cover topic from that topics also. Okay. All right. So now with that, I end the class. If you have any doubt, you can stay back. The rest of you can leave. The class for today is over. Okay. Regarding next class, the next class will be on Saturday. Okay. The next class will be on Saturday, 7 p.m. Fine.